creating beyond calculation, beyond politics, and beyond the big two. Welcome, Silverliners, to the wonderful world of Wednesday Wham! Another stellar episode is awaiting your listenership. I'm your host.
Lower that bar from the beginning, please.
Oh, yeah. I'm your host, Dean Zachary, and we're joined tonight by Barbara J. Kelberg, the Empress of the Inks, Rob Davis, the Paragon of Pencils, the superior skeptic, and often called Aaron the Contrarian Humphreys, both Wizards of Wordplay, Rory, Boyle, and Scott Wakefield, who are going to be doing a lot of the show tonight. And we have a visitor, Roberta Conroy. Hi, Roberta. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. Always great to have visitors on our show. We welcome everyone who wants to join at any time, members of the Silverline team especially. Okay, so tonight's subject, the Wizards of Wordplay share their secrets of world building, specifically for the comic world. We're going to talk a little bit about the physical setting, the society, the culture, the characters, the history, the backstory.
Wait, what?
We're gonna get real deep here. We're gonna take a
currency,
deep dive.
the state of the economy.
Yes, I'm just gonna kick back and let you guys ramble on and on, and I'm gonna wave at you every now and
I
then.
want you to start where the very kernel of the idea came from.
Oh, that's easy.
So
that's super easy.
1765, the Stamp Act was passed.
Whoa.
And Parliament.
Oh, and you were born then, okay.
Yeah, not to proceed the Navigation Act, which came later.
So,
often called the
first,
Intolerables Act. And sorry, Dean. I'm sorry, Dean. Oh,
no worries.
Dean,
I was just going to quickly set the table with the context here. Steam Patriots, an action-adventure of historical fiction set during the Revolutionary War, where we have a young man who is caught between the British and the Americans and encounters a lot of historical luminaries. And it's a little bit of steampunk and a whole lot of fun to read.
Oh, man. Did we mark that with that time that he just said? Because we're going to use that recording right there. That's audio for promotion. Thank you.
Well,
Dean.
hey, I don't know.
Perfect.
Don't try this at home. So, Scott, it's up to you, my friend. Take over here. Talk to us.
Thank you, Dean.
First of all, when you guys started this, what was that idea where it's like, hey, what if we blended, peanut butter with chocolate, and how did it really just begin?
And Scott got his chocolate in Rory's peanut butter.
Rory
got his peanut butter and Scott's chocolate.
Our hands met in the popcorn bucket, and it was history. So imagine, if you will, I'll set the scene. This is a decade ago. Does everyone remember 2011? Those heady days of heading towards the teens, and two young, handsome petty officers in the United States Coast Guard.
Who were those guys? Can't be you.
And then there was Scott and Rory. Pan the camera around to two mouth breathers sitting there going,
actually
the winter months in Western New York, when the Great Lakes are frozen solid, there's not a lot to do for the Coast Guard. And many an hour, our job involved checking on marinas and trying to find boats getting crushed by ice. Literally, I mean, we would drive hither and thither. So, and often very late at night, and I feel bad for the other petty officers that would join Rory and I on our jaunts to the wilderness, and we would talk about the stupidest stuff. And we quickly determined that we were separated at birth somewhere, or we do share a mind. And we were talking about steampunk. I don't know how it got to it.
No telling what anything we talked about, whatever context it was. Everything's fair game.
Yeah, and it got to steampunk, and we did say steampunk as a genre generally is set 1800s, the Victorian era, and very heavy on England. And that style, but adding boilers and gears and steam technology. And so we said we should back the story up. It's got to have an origin, and then let's make it American. Why not? Because we've said this before. Neither of us knows who said, let's do Ben Franklin. And of course, we jumped on Google who actually invented the steam engine, and we're like, oh, it it is legitimate. There was steam technology in the second half of the 1700s.
Do a Ben Franklin story, and we think, who thought of it? Ben Franklinstein.
Yes.
Like, but
I think that's
already existed.
Yeah. We
There's
did
nerdier
think of
people than us out there.
We did think of Ronald Reagan as well. Also
Yes.
Taken.
Also Taken.
Yeah. I also thought of Wikipedia, Taken. We're like 2 seconds behind all the good ideas.
Yep.
I want to interject this very quickly. Baldwin Orange says there isn't a lot for the Coast Guard to do. Anyways, he misspelled coast, right?
Ooh.
And then he said,
Okay.
U.S. Navy
Okay.
here, so
It's hard to type with all those tentacles.
wait, which means bad spelling.
Yeah,
So
I'll take the high road. I'll take the high road. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Our brothers on the sea. Thank you. Yes, and I will admit the frozen north for the Coast Guard does get slow sometimes.
Different kind of doldrums.
Yes. Well, I love the Great Lakes. I was I grew up. I grew up on the shores of Erie and Ontario, and but yes, when things freeze. So we drove and we talked and we checked on marinas and came up with this idea, and then it just kind of faded for a little while.
Okay.
And 2011, I got stationed in Alaska and ended up buying a boat. And Rory was my first choice for a first mate to help me take a boat from Seattle up the Inside Passage to Ketchikan. And we really hashed out. We got out pen and paper and spent a good portion of the week hashing out ideas. And it didn't. The original idea shares little bits of how it got to what it is now. It was originally going to be a novel, and
which was
we can get in
complete.
Yeah, right? I ended up doing soon after that participating in a National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo, which started. If anybody does, I would definitely check it. NaNoWriMo.org.com. Look it up. NaNoWriMo. It makes you write, and you got to get about 1,600 words out a day, and I bring this up a lot because that's what got me to finish a story. And that's one of my biggest things to anybody writing a story is write the darn thing and then work on it. Because if you don't get to the end, you're going to edit the thing to death. And that's the death of all these stories that sit in drawers or sit on memory cards or computers because they never get done. And
so it was initially not conceived as a graphic novel or comic book. This was a prose concept.
Correct. And if the folks that backed the first Kickstarter for it, thank you. You got that rough draft, which I've gone back and skimmed, and it's pretty bad. But it was really a rough draft. I just, like I said, it was 1,600 words a day making this book happen. And the NaNoWriMo people, we'll get to that, Tommy. I got the almost, I don't know, it was like 46,000 words. I didn't get the 50,000 word goal, but you don't have time to go back and edit. So there's some big jumps. You get to points, you got to get over some hurdles. You can't sit and think, what's the inner turmoil of this moment? How do I? No, you just keep going to get the story done, and then you can go back.
Writing by the seat of your
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in our story, we had Felix and we had Ben Franklin. And our original idea is we had the British steal Ben Franklin's plans and they go to England. And England doesn't have the technology. And so we had Ben and Felix go to England. So we had a whole story of them on a ship. They're in England, and there was kind of like a crime.
Yeah.
Like a
procedural?
Added arcs to it as well.
Yeah, we had
the Washington spy ring arc and like the wartime arc.
Yeah,
and different story.
And a lot of it took place in England, and then they get to France, and then he gets back. And I think we had to wrap up him getting back in time, coming across on French ships. They outfit the French, and then end up in Yorktown and kind of ride in like the cavalry and win the day. So it started out as a novel, and then we found a publisher who liked the story, and it fizzled. It didn't go anywhere. So he gave it back. It was creator owned, but he said I can hang on to it. We had a contract, and he said, or we can. There was no loss, just a little bit of sadness. Oh well. And so it sat.
There was a good bit of work on the fore end of it.
Yeah,
some videography and some talking with people across the pond for doing music. And is it the same guy we're talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. It was going to be an interactive app as a comic book,
like a transmedia.
Yeah.
And if you could do it on a tablet or a computer, and it would have hyperlinks, and it had some animation. It would take you to real. It was a really cool idea, but
lofty
it
goal,
fizzled.
but it was doable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so again, it went on the shelf for a little while, and then it was my my school at Full Sail and Roland that got me really, really interested in. I was thinking, why didn't it click earlier? And I said it to Rory, like, comic book. He's like, heck yes, instantly a perfect idea. So that was the life of the story. It's about a decade in the making. And I know we want to talk about actual writing. So when we in that interim planning, and Rory and I like to I like story world building, and I love the research side of it. I know that there are writers that's not their thing, or they don't need it, and the story unfolds as they write it. And I can see both sides of that. But Rory and I are a couple of nerds, and we enjoy the
process itself.
Yeah.
It unfolds as you talk about it, and we're so like-minded that the jokes keep rolling as we're unfolding this world into itself. It falls into our hands, and we can kind of flesh it out.
Well, let me ask you: the central character, Felix Ward, who is our protagonist, we experience the story through his eyes, correct?
Yes, it will follow him, and he's the hero. What's this? Not the third person omniscient, but the third person that. What do you call that? The point of view that's on the protagonist's shoulder. You know what's the word?
Yeah.
There's a name for that. I can't think of it. So yeah, we will follow him. Do we ever leave? Do we leave Felix in the first issue at all, Rory?
No.
I don't think we do. Issue number 2, there's a little bit. The point of view changes just briefly for the sake of story.
Setting.
Yeah.
But when you're starting this now, we talked a little bit about the kernel of the idea, but let's talk about the structure of the world. Now, obviously, I did a little research because it's a historical fiction setting. What about limitations? You knew in your minds that this was going to push the edge of science fiction, but not as far as bringing in the fantastic, just the potentially science fiction level where you're going to amp that up a little bit. So we're okay.
Yeah, Rory, do you want to talk about that? Or
sure. So obviously, steampunk is very technical, and when we were trying to create the burgeoning of it, the beginning of it, and in our research, we found that all that technology existed. It was just too expensive to manufacture. I mean, we found plans for a Gatling gun from that time period, from the 1700s in England, but it was just so expensive to make they didn't do it. But how that would have sped the timeline along. In our first issue, did we get into the boiler carriage and all that?
Yeah.
So we're starting slow and building almost like a boiler.
Like a boiler. Well, so what about the whole Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and the story arc itself in terms of how you knew there was the beginning, the middle, and the end? Do you guys know the end of this? Do you know who lives, who dies? Do you know that? Or are you just making up as you go along, like the creators of Survivor or whatever? I mean, do you know the entire story now?
We don't, because we know chronologically when the end will be, because it takes place with real history.
Okay.
And we've said over and over again, we don't want to take away from real history because real people did real things. So we never want to detract from that. So we know the end, which is how we've worked. You talk about doing it in acts. We've put the end, and we have some big points in the middle, but we don't honestly know how long we're going to take to get there.
Right.
We have big moments within the story that we want to hit, And
I think that's our major design, because you don't want to jump from this place to this place to this place just to have all the fun and all the big, locations and battles.
Do you, like, a lot of times when I'm writing a story or concepting it even, and I'm doing bullet point outlines, I will use set pieces as a sort of guide. Locations become a map, so to speak.
Yeah.
Did you guys use locations as a map a little bit?
What I've done, it's kind of worked out well, I think, and Rory, correct me if I'm wrong, if I've been envisioning it wrong. I've been looking big picture a lot.
Wrong.
Okay, sorry.
Wrong. That's
I found multiple Revolutionary War timelines. Simple history.com and all the, you can find a timeline. And so then we've looked geographically what will work for Felix, because we don't want him one moment in New York City, next moment South Carolina, next so what works for Felix geographically. And then I've been working on a lot of plot. And then when we find ding, 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 this person or this place, this happened, a lot of times I'll pass that off to Rory, and Rory will find down into the weeds, what was in, this person's pocket, to at this time in this battle. Can we use that person?
Yeah, 2 pence and a button.
Right, exactly. and how will we draw that? How will that show up in the story? And so we've the plotting, Dean, like you were saying, these locations or these moments, that I've been going with the real timeline of history, and we really want to find pivotal moments and then find the periphery stuff, because we don't want Felix at every big thing, because I think that gets like, if he's at he's there to sign
the such a disservice.
We want to find those odd things and have him be involved and or be the cause for the action, not do like a Indiana Jones kind of where he's along for the ride, and, which I love the Indiana Jones movies. There are some plot problems, but sorry.
How dare you?
Well, let me ask. I know that's just really, don't go there.
I know. Dean's going to get mad.
We'll save that for another time. In terms of characters, though, another one of the procedures I'll go through when I'm building a story is I'll make a list of main characters, usually 3 to 4 heroes, and then a main villain, and then some henchmen. Did you guys structure it that way, or again, just sort of pick it out of history?
We do have. Well, go ahead, Rory.
Yeah, there is a main villain, at least for a time.
Okay.
Because there are so many. I mean, obviously, the big baddie are the redcoats, right?
Right.
You can think of it as the horde of tyranny, but there will be villains along the way because geographic location changes. And people stayed in one location for a long period of time and then moved as the battle moved, or ran away
and were replaced. British generals were replaced and moved,
all the time.
And
sure.
So we have thought about, and again, we haven't solidified if we want to have a fictional villain that's pervasive throughout. But at least in this opening foray, I think it's enough. We really didn't want to be a distraction from Dean. You said he's stuck between the British and the Americans, literally and philosophically, because we want figuratively, because we didn't want it to be cut and dry that England bad, America good, because at the time it was a tough decision. I mean, and there's so much more involved. It's not just like we don't like you.
You will notice that all throughout history, you will also find villains in the small things like normal people who turn on their neighbors or rat people out of either fear or greed. And I mean, your next door neighbor, who you've been a friend with your entire life, may all of a sudden turn on you, and that's very villainous.
That's a villain. Yep,
that's a villain too.
So
there's also a chance. This is just a thought. Now, I know you guys probably have it mapped out already, but if I were in a historical fiction setting which has its immovable parameters, so to speak, it may be an option to invent someone that you can dispatch without affecting and disrupting the historical record.
In a gruesome death that may look like
George Washington.
I know. I want to quote here. Baldwin says you can do a Romeo and Juliet type story wrapped in a British American steampunk skin, with the founding fathers making appearances, or just basically drunk dudes. That's from Baldwin. Bone says, throw some romance in it. It will sell.
Uh,
Calculus says, buona sera, Silverliners. Well, same to you,
buona
Calculus. And Pop says, hey, yo. And we say, hey, yo, back.
Hey,
Holla.
Holla. So continue. We've talked a little bit about structure of the environment. We talked about characters. Is there, since Baldwin brought it up, is there a love interest for Felix down the road? Without giving, any details away, you can tell us structurally if that's part of the story.
He's a little young for Betsy Ross.
yeah.
So,
We are not opposed to it, and we are letting the story develop. We're letting the characters come to life as they grow, because you were talking about plotting as we go. So we have the trail markers, the milestones. But even in this first issue, when we were plotting, we had an end down the road later. The first four, our story arc, but we had this one character that we wanted, who's a real person, but we can only find the briefest mention of this person.
Yeah.
And so we wanted that person to show up, and then we wanted that person to come alive. So we had to pump the brakes. I'm not a huge fan. Who's what's the story to where they expanded? What's the who did it? Was it Bendis? Brian Michael Bendis. He took Spider-Man. Yeah. What do they call that? Were they
murdering it, butchering it?
Yes, it's too much.
Yeah, we want to do that.
What's the word? That's not the word. Expanded. I can't.
Expanded universe.
No. It's
beyond the
Stanley and introduced Spider-Man in 6 pages, pretty much his backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Michael Bendis took 12 issues or something, and what do you call that? It'll come to me. I got to stop thinking.
It's the opposite of brevity is the soul.
They fleshed it out.
Well, that's not fleshing out. Gives it like a good thing.
Depth.
Sometimes it's too much. It's too much. It's,
retconning.
No, that's
good.
That I'm just saying, like, you can tell a story with you can tell so much with one line of dialogue can impart,
right.
Or you can stretch. Think of Walking Dead. I enjoy the Walking Dead series. There are some episodes that nothing happens.
Yeah.
You mean like Lost?
It's 40
ramble?
Like Lost. It's 44
ramble.
Minutes of nothing.
Yeah.
And in any writing, comic books can do it too. Some might see it as superfluous, and some might say, "Oh no, it's beautiful." It slows it down. There's good and bad. Yeah, nothing happens. Yeah, there's good and bad.
We're on a road trip and we're not stopping. You should have peed before we left.
Decompressed. Thank you. That's the word.
Wow.
Decompressed. That's the exact word I was thinking. Yes, it has its moments. It has its moments, but we don't want it to. Then it gets tedious. It's cumbersome and slow. But we had this one character that we want to give a little more time and a little more, and then this moment. So we backed the end up, and chronologically, the first 4 issues don't take up a huge chunk of time. Okay. And that wasn't how we expected it in the beginning. So we want to let the story live and take some control of where it goes.
Giving it room to breathe.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
We're happy just as long as it's not slowing down where it's panel after panel of nothing.
Action drives the story.
Absolutely, it does. But we
do have a tempo.
Do we get?
You don't want to have to slog through it.
Yeah. No, it needs.
I like the first few issues of Lord of the Rings.
That's what I've heard. I like I like an ebb and flow. It's that build and release and build and release.
Build the tension, release, tension, release. But what about the interior angst or the struggle within Felix? Because obviously, he has this turmoil. There's a pull between his father's relationship to him, but also to the Brits.
Yeah.
Dean, have you read our comic book? Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
got it.
Look, I looked at the pictures.
actually liked it.
There was no pop-up pictures. Though.
I saw a few angry faces and then a smiling face, and there was an explosion and someone shot a gun. Tell me about that.
Define read.
I liked
Anyway,
yeah, Rory, go ahead. Yeah, Dean, that's exactly it. We wanted to have deep characters, so
yeah. So Felix he's an impetuous youth. He will make bad decisions. Impetuous.
yes.
Library.
not an
Library.
impest, but an impetuous.
He is a little impetuous, but impetuous.
See, we invent
Laughable.
words. That's why you guys are the Wizards of Wordplay.
We're going to use it somewhere, somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's a new
Our
one.
word scramble skills are
That's just epic.
Top-notch.
Impetuous, everyone.
impetuous.
We've added something to the
Impetuous? I've
dictionary.
been saying it wrong for years.
Impetuous.
So what's your
I-
formula? What's your formula for
Y equals
making
MX plus
something
B.
appealing to a general audience?
See, now here's the thing. There are thoughts on that. I am of the mindset to define my audience. I do not like that faceless general audience.
Yeah.
We have our audience is defined as generally men who are interested in history, founding fathers, American history, steampunk.
Yeah.
Now, we don't want to exclude anyone, but I don't like having the general, because then it's a blob that appeals to everybody. We have an audience, and but that is our audience. It's not to say other people won't like it, but that's what we want. So we want action. We want strong characters and that are deep. And so Rory that's what Rory was going to say about when we developed Felix. And Dean, you said the beginning of the war affects Felix. Go ahead, Rory.
So he's going to make big mistakes. He's going to get down on himself. He's going to realize that his actions have consequences, and that's the depth and breadth of character building that you like. Everyone went through that. I'm pretty sure everyone except maybe Dean. Dean was just like perfect from day one. Just skipped over puberty.
Yeah, he came out of the womb totally confident.
Wow. Wow, you guys just keep talking. You're just building my fame. This is great.
We're just looking for another soundbite from you. That's all.
Yeah. If you only knew the trail of destruction in my personal relationship.
Broken hearts.
Let's see, the train wreckage I leave in my wake. I kind of want to play Scrabble listening to what Calculus said.
Big words. So
big
much
words. You know,
perspicacity.
But there's another one that you use all the time, Scott. Being the Wizard of Wordplay, you always ask something, and it's always weird, and Rory always knows what it is and mocks it. But we're going to come up with that later in the show.
Right.
You mispronounce a word, and you always do it, and it's the same word, and you've used it in the show before.
I have a lot of those.
So we're gonna save that for later in the show because you're gonna remember it and go, "Oh, I remember it."
Okay. Or maybe Calculus will remember it.
Calculus probably will remember it because he's
we'll give him 10 points.
He's playing 4-dimensional Scrabble while we only play 3-dimensional Scrabble.
That's a thing now. You can like stack letters on top of other people's.
Yeah,
I thought that was Jenga.
That's
I
upwards.
thought that was
anyway. Upwards. Yeah.
Upwards is
or upwards. Yeah. Okay, Jenga. All right, so back to storytelling. So one of the phrases I like to use when we discuss this sort of world building is you build the iceberg, but you imply with the tip of the iceberg. Now that's if I'm building a complete world from scratch that nobody knows. In this case, you're using history as a backdrop. So you don't really have to do that as much because most of us are fairly well versed in American Revolutionary history in terms of at least a general idea, right?
Yeah.
So in this particular case, you don't really have to go into too much backstory. Tell us about backstories for historical figures. I know you guys had to research it, but did you try to load the dialogue to give the reader sort of an idea of where this person is at this time in the story, in history?
The opening pages, we do have, we wanted there to be, we don't want it too on the nose. I hate television or or any book, when someone imparts information to someone who should already flipping know that. Like, why are you? Well, as I said yesterday, you should know that if you press this button, it will. No,
I want to hear George Washington talk to his guys. Like, remember that one day in the French and Indian War?
Right. As I said,
That's a tomahawk.
Defenestrate. I think he's defenestrating right now.
Is that
throw somebody through a window? That's what defenestrating means.
Defenestrate? Is that?
Yes.
I think, to answer Barb's question from earlier, I was going to throw in my thoughts on an answer. It was basically he's using the Todd McFarlane defense, which I use all the time. I really don't calculate who the audience is at all. I just go, if I think it's cool, hopefully there'll be enough other people think it's cool to like it. I mean, I know that's flawed.
Yep.
But that's kind of.
But we'll get more out of it.
I should have probably said how do you write it so that it's appealing to people?
Okay. All right, good. Oh, Richard Dunn, VIP, Steam Patriots fan. Yes. Misunderestimate the strategery.
I love that.
Yeah,
people just want to put food on their families.
Yes.
Food on their families.
Thank you, Mr. Richard Dunn.
Yes.
So, oh man,
there's a silver lining under every rainbow. Wow.
Fool me once.
Shame
on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice.
People with two birds in a hay,
mixed
glass houses.
Anyway, so
yes, Barb. So how do we make it appealing to our audience? Yes. Yeah. So like Dean said, so at least right now we got at least three of us. we know Dean enjoys the story. Rory enjoys the story. I enjoy the story. Thank you, Barb, and you loved it too because we wanted good characters. We want action.
I love history.
And Rob's loved it too. Thank you. And the history is appealing. And so, Dean, your question about how do we impart history? I love imparting information in dialogue. I really love. How many
reams of notes do you guys have?
Well, I was going to say,
show the notes.
Have you seen the conspiracy theory boards with the red string?
Gift from Rory. Gift from Rory.
Wow,
those of you watching, gift from Rory.
I did not steal that out of the local college, but
Revolution Wars. This is American Revolution. This one, David McCullough, great book. David McCullough just passed away, I believe. David McCullough.
Oh, I get that.
1770.
A year or two ago, but yeah.
Okay. We have mountains and mountains and mountains of notes, but we want spoiler.
We can start our own private library by the end of this.
Well,
nice.
Yeah, and the digging through like the 50-cent hardcovers at that Goodwill and stuff like that. But we know kind of what we're looking for, so we want to find those moments. I just found out. So this a gift from Rory. Teaser. Anybody who's paying attention. That gentleman. At the Siege of Boston, did a cutting out. Meaning he stole a ship with a bunch of other guys full of supplies. It was just a one moment thing. I didn't know it until I read that book.
Wow.
So like, bing, that's a really cool.
That's not on his Wikipedia page.
I can't find that. Can't find it anywhere. It really isn't. I can't find it anywhere else. So we want to steal that little bit.
Well, now we got to hail one off.
Well, we do. It's
okay.
So we want. I like imparting information with dialogue, and so. Like I was saying, Rory has been really good at finding these little bits of history. These little so-and-so was here or not here, or so-and-so had a limp. Really, like Benedict Arnold got shot. He had a limp. Battle of Concord. I can't remember. Benedict Arnold got shot. He had a limp. So stuff like that. But we don't want it to be on the nose. Well, the Stamp Act. You don't want to.
Yeah. You don't want to lecture. In other words, you don't want to lecture, but you want to hint. You want to
exactly.
And again, the history nerds will catch things that the average reader may not, but that's totally okay.
We're going for those.
We have
you can have deep cuts in there. You can have
towards the end of issue number 1. Felix knocks on a door and asks to see Mr. Dogood or Mrs. Dogood, and that is a very maybe obscure reference of Ben Franklin's nom de plume when he was writing in his almanac papers or writing to the newspapers for wanting social and societal change. So
So for those who don't speak French, that is a pen name.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Just
his pseudonym.
folks along.
P as in pseudonym.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So,
He is
but
in
does
psychology.
anyone run through the story yelling the British are coming at any point?
So the opening pages
Have you
don't
not read?
I thought you
Wait
the
a minute.
opening pages. The opening
fool me
pages.
once.
There, just to
He's
explain to
he's
people,
pulling
you
a Johnny
actually
Carson.
Start with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Got an
We did-
envelope there to hold to your head too.
We did not outright have that phrase be uttered, but we paid homage to it, and it was not Paul Revere, because there were others. There were lots of Paul Revere did not ride down the entire coast. There was, but Paul Revere is the most famous. So we had some dude doing it. He doesn't get a name. We should name him if there's ever credits.
There was people that went out in all different directions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who were more effective. Actually got the word out to more people.
And I believe Paul is it a Whitman poem? Paul Revere's Ride.
The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
Is
Is
it Whitman or is it
No.
The road.
Yeah, no, it's
Some history expert needs to bring that up. And who said "One if by land, two if by sea"?
I don't know who did say it. Who was that? Was Boston though, right? Yeah,
That was Boston.
Yes.
The Old North Church.
Yeah.
The location,
But
which
yeah,
is where Paul Revere went.
He went to
Yeah.
Concord. He rode to Concord.
He's the Lexington.
From the Old North Church.
Yeah, and see, this is stuff that like I there's so much information, and I've forgotten so much of it. and
it's from a Longfellow poem.
Longfellow, thank you.
Longfellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been diving so deep into just the beginning. Like I said, we've got these big points later on that we want to hit, but finding the details. Even so, in our research, I came across a couple albums of Revolutionary War and colonial music, and there's a really cool song about Matt Anthony Wayne, an officer, and the lyrics are really cool. Rory and I kind of plotted it out. At least a portion of one of the comics, whenever it's later on, it's like 1780, so the pace we're going, it'll be years from now. But the lyrics would make a really cool, sound effects caption, as if someone's either singing it or playing it, and then visualizing as you bang bang the rifles go, down fall the British foe, and it's kind of cool. It would be really bang bang the rifles go, and then just a couple pages of that'd be a neat intro. Have some bard, some guy singing, some troubadour singing the song. Just that song. So that made me want to research Anthony Wayne and what he did.
Can you have a fife and drum corps?
Yep. Yes, Paul Revere. He did say, he didn't say the British are coming. The regulars are coming, or something like that. Yeah. It's one of those, like with Nathan Hale, that he not. They don't know if he actually said exactly. I regret it. I only have one life to give. Right. But he said something to that effect.
So, what about the when Felix gets near the end of the story? Does he have a growth journey? In other words, does the character change with Frodo, for example? When we started with a little bit of Lord of the Rings reference, with Frodo, he grows up from sort of a sheltered person to someone who's more aware of the large conflict in the world around him, and he grows to be tempted by the ring and almost falls. And without Sam, some would say maybe he would have. But again, a debate for another time that we will approach.
That's another show.
Debate. It will happen. But that being said, we're talked about Felix's journey, where he starts and where he will eventually end up, without spoilers.
You want to do that? Yeah. So, starting, Felix, this young gentleman working with his father, impetuous youth.
Another impetuous reference. Awesome. Impetuous. Wow, we're going to come back to the impetuous. That's going on a T-shirt before it's all over.
Impetuous.
Indeed. Continue. Sorry.
He's rambunctious too.
He is.
Yes. Quite. So we don't have so much of. There's not a heavy backstory to Felix. you get bits and pieces. His father's there. A little later on, his brother. You hear about his brother. So this is a family dynamic that's in the background that may come out.
Did everybody who read it catch that he has a brother? Did everybody catch that? It's one line. Okay.
It's been a while since I've read it.
It's okay. We wanted it to be just because it wouldn't, because his dad wouldn't say,
It's
well, remember
It's
you have a
seasoning.
brother?
Yeah. Remember that other boy?
Remember? Well, since you're one of two boys, you would know.
And no sisters. Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
So
Rory,
it will be a coming of age tale for Felix.
Okay.
He will go through the emotions. He will learn how to become a responsible adult. He will make mistakes. He will regret things. He will be remorseful. He will suffer. And those are the mile markers in anybody's life where you grow. And it's wartime, and he's a young man.
Okay.
He will.
So is this like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey? Is it similar to that?
Yeah.
And that he'll come across a wise person who will help him along, and
Or maybe so.
He'll get his hand cut
Maybe
off.
not so wise.
And then he'll come back a swordsman and act.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
He's actually an immortal, and he's going to start lopping heads off. He's going to find a Sean Connery, and this is actually all highly.
Anywho,
yes,
he does grow.
But we don't know what his true character is going to be like at the end, because we haven't finished it.
We want to let him grow.
It's very organic.
So we know who he is now, and we know that we want him to be better. Yeah.
I have someone at Apex says Dean Zachary from the Ferret from the night. Yes, still alive.
Dean Zachary, the Ferret,
still alive. I am indeed. Thanks for.
Do you still have the costume? Do you wear the
news
costume?
of my death is grossly exaggerated.
Indeed. So as we move through the story, we're also going to learn about actual plots to fight the British, right? Along with the fictional plot of the adventure that you're writing. So you're going to mix a little bit of history in with the fiction. Am I correct in assuming that?
And it's not hard to do. I mean, surprisingly, it was very well documented, the whole war on both sides. Good. The letters, the procurement requests, the tax records. I mean, a lot of it's still there.
And that's so amazing thinking how far back that was.
Yeah.
That so much of it still exists.
It's not to veer too far off, but like thinking about war before the modern era, I mean, before really the 20th century, thinking about news getting to England and then the king and the parliament making decisions and then sending that information back and months and months, or anything, any sea battle
has changed.
Battle. There's no one knows. I mean, even the Civil War, the months went by before people knew that it was over.
Any news from the front?
In Texas, they didn't know the war was over for months until
right.
So that's how it goes.
No internet.
No instant knowledge. Right.
Calculus says, I'm regretting not buying that Nightman issue I found today. I'm regretting you not buying that Nightman issue you found, because then I can sign it when you come to the show next time. Thank you for mentioning that. Please continue, Scott. Sorry about that.
I said Rory's saying, there is so much documented, and then there are holes, and that's the stuff we've really been looking for. I use the example of in the Battle of Long Island, and that's where our story starts. Nathaniel Green.
Say it right. Long Island.
Please don't do that. Don't do that ever again. Please. We'll call the Battle of Harlem Heights, which was another name for it. So Nathaniel Green was sick. So that was it. That's like as much information I can find about him. We didn't end up using. I think we were going to do a nod to him, but that's a person we can use. He's sick. Maybe in the Steam Patriots world, he's not.
Yeah.
We do want to have some to save storytelling, to save imparting information. We want to have those historical moments that the readers will know. So these characters, we don't have to say, "Oh, hello, General Washington." We got a guy that looks like Washington with a.
On the side.
So the amount of information, and we probably have a hundredfold of what we even hint at in the story.
Yeah.
Well,
the hard part is paring it down.
Yeah.
When we talk about the risks involved, obviously, in many epic stories, the entire realm is at risk. Very often you'll find that, certainly in Lord of the Rings, the entirety of Middle-earth is at risk. Here, the nation is in the balance. Talk to us about how that pressure affects our main character, because really, I mean, he's feeling the weight of that. He's a teenager, right? So the weight of the nation, I mean, that's heavy stuff.
Sure, I don't think it hits him right off the bat. I mean, it wouldn't have hit most people right off the bat. Most people are just trying to go about their lives and capitulating and like, all right, whatever I can do to go to work and make money and take care of my family. And
sure,
what did they say was 3% that fought the war, or something like 13%. Sure. It was the minority of colonials that actually fought.
Right.
So it didn't take the majority, and those who weren't in the know didn't know. If you were far enough inland, it didn't affect you.
And the mindset, Rory, you're saying about that, like, I'm a farmer, or I'm a tailor, or whatever. I'm sorry, I have to go home and take care of my farm.
Sure.
And so they
look at the movie
The
Patriot. He was so reluctant.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and so we wanted to impart that feeling that it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I've got a family to feed. Right. I've got a family to feed.
Had no pedigree of warfare.
Yeah,
right.
Skirmishes, but
fighting,
not against the most powerful country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to include, in other words, the unorthodox style, the guerrilla style of warfare, if you will, that the Americans used, because the British were used to formal warfare and
and they were pissed. They were like, "You're not playing fair."
Right, you're not playing
right. They're not doing it right.
That's how I play. We don't fight. That's how I play poker with the people that are all serious, and I'm like, this one, in.
Obviously, you're gonna address that, right? The unorthodox approach.
Yeah, I'd like to. I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Yes, we want to. We want Felix to be kind of tangential to a lot of the big stuff. So he's going to be put in a unique situation where, because of his mind can remember stuff. We want him to he'll run messages. So that's a way we can get him to move around the country. Like, he doesn't need to carry a slip of paper.
He's protected. He's a courier.
Yeah. So he'll be part of a sneaky operation,
or at least for a time.
Yeah. The issue number 4, we're going to have him be part of a big operation. But his goal, he's got a goal within the big battle is not necessarily, a rifleman on a line. So yeah, he'll be able to work like that. And we've toyed with, like, would there be a reason that he has to slap on a uniform and stand in the line? I don't know. I don't know. We haven't foreseen him in. We haven't foreseen him in that situation.
In terms of the technology, we've talked a little bit about the steampunk technology. There is an advanced piece of equipment in the story. Obviously, if you're going to use that advanced piece of equipment in a major battle, then you're dancing on the edge of historical alteration. So I would assume that you're going to write the fictional technology as part of non-recorded battles or off-the-grid type of battles,
or part of the battle.
Okay.
Meaning, if the Americans, it's kind of works out great, because a huge portion of the war, the Americans lost. It was a lot of retreating and a lot of losing and a lot of questioning.
Tactical relocation.
Questioning Washington. A lot of it. Should this guy be in charge?
Right.
We want it to be part of the action, and there will be moments where it is pivotal. But in good story, I like good story. If it's an action story, especially, I like lots and lots of failures. I like compounding
If
failure.
it can go wrong, it will go
with
wrong.
one glimmer,
Especially
of
with
good
new technology.
Yeah. We wanted, while the Steam technology is becoming, it's not just in its infancy, but it's just past it. So it's still, I mean, if you think of the automobile at the very beginning, you know, what did it look like? Did it have a steering wheel that went like this, or did it have levers? Yeah. So the Steam technology and things break down. I think there's some line somewhere about someone telling someone with a car to get a horse, you know, because so the boilers won't be that great in the beginning, and they will sort of help be a problem. So that's our plan for it.
Can you talk a little bit about the technology? In the cover that I drew a very interesting contraption.
Yes.
Can you at least tease that contraption? First of all, Richard says Felix will be completely misunderstood? ?
Felix, Richard Dunn, Steam Patriots VIP. Felix will be, I wouldn't say completely. He'll be trouble though, because he's too smart for his own good.
Yeah.
And
all of his seniors know better.
Yes. But yeah, he will have it'll be a hard row to hoe, because he has ideas, and a lot of folks won't want to go along with it. Yeah. So he'll be fighting the traditional way of doing things, the old way of doing things.
Okay.
But yeah, we want him to have to struggle with being understood.
Calculus said, Red Coat, hey dude, why aren't they lined up? Other bit, no idea. Red Coat, they're cheating. Run. In a British accent.
Yes, actually.
Where's Peter?
What? No, wait. That accent is. I have read. Historians say that the British during that colonial times did not sound like they do now.
Yeah. Yes.
That rhotic, RHOTIC, I believe it's what's called that rhotic, the removal of the R, very much like a Boston accent, and the way the Queen speaks. I know I'm speaking in general terms, and for our friends in England, I may be getting it wrong. That is an affectation that was adopted and became the general accent. So if you can wrap your brain around a war between Americans and British, they probably sounded the same.
Yeah. Are you saying they all talk like Peter?
They did not sound like Dick Van Dyke in Chimney. Chim.
Actually sounded more like a Southern accent.
I believe yes, it was close to
influence.
That. Yep. And
but then you throw the Scotch and Irish in there.
Who knows what's going on there?
There was a lot of yar, perhaps.
Nar.
Yeah, they sounded like pirates.
Right, I like to think that a lot of them sounded like William F. Buckley Jr. That transatlantic accent.
Transatlantic.
Yeah,
it's a bit elevated, but not too far.
Yes, not quite there.
Indeed.
A little bit of English.
Name the Disney movie that gives a nod to William F. Buckley Jr.
The Disney movie.
Anybody?
The Disney movie?
Disney movie.
Wow.
90s Disney movie.
The 90s Disney movie.
90s Disney. A few provisos. Huh?
Aladdin.
Aladdin. Yes.
Aladdin.
Aladdin. When he's going through, he's making.
Yeah, he turns into him. Yeah,
he turns into him briefly and says the word provisos. And so, William F. Buckley. What weird.
Who was a sailor.
Yes, yeah, he was.
He
did
a little
rich.
short video.
He was a rich, coastal.
He was at Yale.
So Dean.
Here we go. Calculus says they all sounded like.
So no one could understand them.
So no one can understand what they're saying.
I love Sean Connery and Gerard Butler, but I think they're just Scots with a lisp. That's their claim to fame.
Oh my!
There are a lot of other Scottish people that don't sound anything like that.
No. Has anyone seen the Saturday Night Live bit with James McAvoy as the air traffic controller?
No.
And they're trying the pilot passes out and they're calling air traffic control in Scotland and they can't understand. It's hilarious. Scottish air traffic control Saturday Night Live, hilarious.
That's got to be up there with German lighthouse keepers.
Oh yeah. What are you thinking about?
We are sinking.
Mayday, Coast Guard, we're sinking. What are you thinking about?
Good. Speaking of that, is there humor in the book?
We
I've
well
often thought about this.
wait, we're 2 questions behind. I'm
You
sorry,
want, like,
Dean.
funny
You asked
ha-ha
about
or funny uh-oh?
Well,
Uh-oh.
wait, Dean asked about this stuff going on right here. This.
Oh yes, yeah.
Ben Franklin had an invention called a Leyden jar, Leyden, and people credit him with inventing the battery. It would hold an static electricity charge, and it was like a parlor trick. He would have people touch, they get a little shock.
Mm-hmm.
So we just took that idea as some sort of like capacitor or something that would build an electrical charge. And Dean took an image of a Leyden jar and he drew it into this weapon, which was like exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. So
it was fun. It was a fun thing to do, but I sort of went overboard and thought, hey, what if he was Tesla before Tesla?
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. And we've had so many moments
too.
In the comic book world. This is what I think what is unique to visual storytelling is the wordsmiths match up with the visual artists, and sometimes frequently you get this really cool, like, what if we drew it like this, and then it becomes something not completely different or something better. I think it's really cool. So Dean, you drew that, and that's like not exactly as we imagined it. But when you sent me that file, I was like, oh my gosh.
Good.
Yeah, yes.
There's a banner for it.
Way better
That's
than
at conventions, that banner pulls more people.
Yeah, it's a cool banner. People are like,
I
what?
remember we had it at the con last year, and people were like, wow. So it works.
It's cool.
So humor. Talk to me a little about humor.
We haven't put a ton
in.
Yeah. So
quick repartees, or
so in other words, it's going to come more from
witticisms
and interactions rather than a sidekick that's funny, like in Star Wars it's the robots, or there's always this sort of feeling with a lot of creators that they have to have a humorous sidekick for comic relief. I've tried to do that. It doesn't come naturally from my characters. Mine tend to be a little more serious, but I like when people who are gifted at adding that humor can pull it off. And I was wondering if you guys are going to bring in a sort of Anthony Daniels C-3PO sort of jokey character at all.
No, I think it would be more just the quick wit, the quick retort, because that's Scott and I. That's what we spent like 20 years doing.
Yeah,
that was
mostly making.
I thought you guys were just
razzing fun of each other. Yeah,
and it becomes so fast. But like, I don't know, military, law enforcement, any close knit group like that, it becomes second nature. Yeah.
It all means every bit of it means I love you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I never had sometimes. So there are moments, but very often I find that character just. It
feels shoehorned in, and non-genuine.
Right?
Is that a word, or is that another one?
This non-genuine, I think, is made up. Disingenuous,
which is the word I was searching for.
Non-genuine is perfectly cromulent.
Wow. What was the other one?
Okay.
Earlier, somebody had disingenuate. I don't know.
Defensive.
Misunderestimate.
Defenestrate.
To throw somebody through a window.
Defenestrate.
Throw somebody through
a window. Yeah.
Words. Yeah, we don't. Calculus.
Here's another one for you.
No Jar Jar. No, thank you. Perfect example. I think.
Misa not love.
Mary and Pippin were perfect for Lord of the Rings.
Mary and Pippin were
just enough because they weren't trying to be like. It was just their nature to be lighthearted. So I have and we put a little. It's a very very. Vague nod. I can't even hint at it because it would give it away. In one of the scenes of number 2, if somebody mentions it, if they notice it, I think they might get free Steam Patriots for the rest of their life. Yeah, wow. We've got a little hint to obscure pop culture.
Okay. All right.
So if they notice
beginning at the end, is it in the middle?
I don't want to.
Is it in the middle? It's somewhere.
It's in there. You'll have to find
it.
There's
actually hidden clues in the first 4 issues to a buried treasure.
To the location of Templar
the Holy
Gold
Grail
on Oak Island with Shakespeare's hidden manuscripts. Dean's
he's like, I got it.
It's in there. If you turn them comic
if you
book
put
up,
on your red and blue 3D
Well,
glasses.
see this. There's no need for that.
he's got
So, ladies and gentlemen, if
You
you follow
found it
those
on
clues, it leads you to Arkansas.
Oh, yeah,
He's
indeed.
got it already.
I got it already,
Oh, wow.
so no worries there. Okay, so as we enter the final half hour of the broadcast, talk to us about what people can expect with issue number 2. I know it's pending here in the next few months. Tease a little bit about what we might see in issue 2. Get some people fired up about getting Steam Patriots number 2.
Rory, if you give secrets away, I will. I know.
I'm not under contract.
I will. You have a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah. Did you want to talk about? Yeah. Sorry,
I'm looking at some of our draft work and flats and inks and all that, and I'm just wowed by the quality of it. It's a lot of action.
Okay.
Yep.
There's some explosions.
Things blow up.
Things explode.
Really?
Things explode. Yeah. Things are no more that were once. We have some amazing cover art coming. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we do. I'm gonna hate the incredible Haley Martin has been doing flats. So
nice.
She's been doing a great job. The flats are like almost good enough to like. I would if someone said we got to print it now, I'd be happy. It looks really good.
As far as the artwork goes, I love the angles that our artist did things at.
Yeah.
Some of them are non-traditional, and it works so well for the scenes.
So, for the record, this is a new artist.
Yes.
On two.
Yep.
And do you have any that we may like? Do you have anything, maybe the cover or something we could share since we're talking about?
If I give me Rory, talk about something interesting. Tell us about your brewing class. So you start that yet?
Oh yes, next semester. I'm taking a 3-credit hour. It covers up my final science course that I need, and it's home brewing.
Wow! And
it's 2 hours a week.
Jeez! Wow!
It would go
you guys were
together
taking brewing classes. I had to take geology to get my.
I got to take that too. I can't wait.
Well, it's actually fun.
For home brewing, I go to a Catholic university, and I'm really going to pitch it hard that for home brewing, we all have to put on brown robes.
Nice.
Wear the habit. And everybody take a vow of silence Wednesday night.
Oh wow, I love it.
Which there used to be a bar in New York City that did that, and the bartenders and waiters dressed like Trappist monks and took a vow of silence for their shift. So you had to communicate with them without actually having to speak. I don't know if that's still going on.
You could do it on Mount Athos if you just dyed your beard white and just wore a black robe.
That would be good.
Just saying, just throwing that out there from the.
I would
if I share my screen,
if they have a hermitage, because I would totally go. That would be a heck of a pilgrimage.
Absolutely. What you could do if you're having trouble sharing something, Scott, is you can pass it on to Barb.
I don't think I am. So let's see. I'm gonna entire screen.
If you share, I can show it on the screen. I just want to give the artwork a shout out. Because
this is one of the opening scenes.
Okay. Wow, look at you.
Opening scene.
Aren't you?
So everybody, you're getting the more than we've shared so far.
Ooh.
So all of you viewers out there, not going to tell you who this dude is.
Okay.
Not going to tell you what's going on. I don't know who those guys in red are.
Wow.
What's going on here? What is he? Okay.
There's something happening there.
Right.
Kind of
cool.
Too much information.
Yep.
Shut it out. No, that's good. That's very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Calculus says that he's taking a history glass, indeed, which is similar to a class,
I have a history
where me and the teacher go on tangents about stuff not in the textbook. I think that's pretty much everybody's glass.
Yeah.
The best part of college is having a history glass with your professor.
Especially after hours. Oh, I knew.
We're building a pub on campus.
And
it's going to be amazing.
I think that's the mark of a good teacher. If it's what every student loves that's not interested in the topic. when the teacher appears,
right.
and then everybody's like off.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This isn't going to be on the test.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, high school. Okay.
So
sorry, I'm reading.
Are you crafting this as a 4-part or a 6-part, or do you know yet?
This is the first arc is 4 parts. So
okay.
If it goes, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is high school though,
Yeah.
so yeah. That's probably not.
Yeah, 4-part arc. We plotted out the beginning, middle, and the parts of each individual, and then we want them all to fit. And the problem with storytelling and a lot of is that slow middle, that bloated middle of any story, in which we didn't want. We didn't want.
That's when you go for a shootout in a
well
strip club or a House of Ill Repute if it's a Revolutionary War story. I'm just throwing that out.
We do have plenty of.
There were ladies of the evening dead everywhere.
Right. No,
we have plenty of opportunities for action, so I don't think we'll worry about that. But we didn't talk much. 2, we're introducing that character you just saw. That was the first page of number 2. That character is going to come in, going to be integral to Felix's life, and we're going to spend 2 and 3 getting to know that character with a mix of action, a little bit of sneakiness, and then we're going to have.
I have a theory.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
No.
There's a theory.
I want to hear it.
I'll talk to you after we.
Okay.
Well, Silverline after dark.
If anyone wants to rewind the tape, there are hints in this episode of of who's getting introduced.
I know who you're talking.
So,
but anyway, we'll just skate right past that.
Yep. And then 2 is gonna, we want people to want number 3, so it's we've got some cliffhangers and some problems. We want the building problems.
Oh yeah.
And we wanted those problems. I think I've said this before. I don't like characters when they're lucky. I don't like. So I talked about Indiana Jones. I feel like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I feel like Indiana Jones was along for the ride in that movie. I feel like there are movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dean. I'm sorry.
He's an external character. Without him in it, it still works.
It's still nothing.
But it's still fun.
Right? It's fun. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, as far as
you're still wrong.
I know. I love the.
So what are you saying about my favorite?
I
movie?
love the movies.
What's this?
Are we
Star
playing the
Wars
hat game?
Episode 1. Anakin hops in the spaceship with the Trade Federation.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just along for the ride for so much of it. Yeah, Rory, that's good. We wanted to tie in. I don't like when characters are lucky, even though like the James Bond franchise. Sometimes James Bond is just lucky. I don't like that.
Yeah.
He's just lucky. It's nothing he.
Well, luck happens sometimes.
Luck does happen.
I know. This is
Well, not all the time.
There's a couple of times we could have died.
I know.
I
I'm not
distinctly
saying
remember.
I'm just saying what I like and don't like.
It's okay.
It's just.
It's okay to
So-
be wrong sometimes.
We what you like is stupid.
Still love it.
Your opinion is wrong, and you should feel bad.
It's okay. Even
Change
if we can
now.
accept Aaron's opinion, we can certainly.
Yeah,
accept
I know. Well,
Oh,
I think
I'm reading a book right now where there's all kinds of things that are happening, and the hero always gets saved just in the nick of
the
time.
last
That's too much.
Like once in a while, I want a problem just to solve itself in a nice, regular way,
right,
before it's life and death, and the
Mhm.
very last.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't even think about that, Tommy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One of these is courtesy of Tommy.
So
Yar.
if for our adoring fans out there, if you will help us to make Steam Patriots a smashing success, so we can keep expanding our world. We talked a few about note Rory's hat and note where our story world could go as well. The seafaring story is that would be a great thing. What were we talking about? Felix. Felix. We want Felix's growth to come from the problem. We want Felix to be part of the problem. We want Felix's choices, of course, to have an impact on the storyline, and we want growth to come out of the bad. And so he learns. So he's not just along for the ride,
Right?
And that's Rory, right? That's what we really wanted to impart in these in this. Like,
we want to instill that emotional connection. You will feel what he feels.
Yeah.
He will realize what he's done has had consequences, and you have that third person view, like what's happening.
Yeah, you're like,
and you still have to watch it happen.
Yeah.
You realize, of course, that the American forces would not have known what Tanis is without Indiana Jones explaining to the intelligence officers. They intercepted a message that said Tanis proceeding, the dig was proceeding, and they didn't know what Tanis was. And if Indiana Jones hadn't told them, so
how did they know to go to him?
I'm so sorry. Well, he was world renowned. I mean, his father and
we're talking
the
first one.
I know.
It got real campy by number 3.
Wait, I had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on VHS taped with National Lampoon Christmas Vacation and Claymation Christmas on the same cassette with the commercials.
What was it? The Rudolph Claymation?
Oh no, it was Claymation. The with the dinosaurs. Real Claymation. I had that on VHS cassette, and I watched that. Junior, I watched that. Yes,
but go back and watch Raiders and just absorb it as if it's the first time, and you'll understand.
And you'll realize how wrong you are.
Again, let's rename
the Gospel of Indy.
The title of this tonight's episode has been "How Scott is Wrong," or how we took
Rory
Scott to school and showed
how Rory became a brewmaster while pretending to get a major in something else.
Yes.
No,
my plan is working.
That's perfect. So, Barb, I would be remiss if I didn't open the floor right before we go to promotion of the Kickstarter for questions.
It's a big night. Wait, okay, big night for Barb. We'll get there.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, Barb, did you have any questions that you haven't thrown out for the Wizards of Wordplay here? It can be anything, like what was your favorite color? But,
I'm single.
Well, I know that we're starting a Kickstarter within the next few minutes here.
Yes.
And that it has 5 books, but one of them is not Steam Patriots.
Correct.
Unfortunately, when can we
Barb.
expect? When can we expect?
If we gave any absolutes, Roland would shut this down immediately. And
you're fired. Get out.
If I didn't live up in north of the Mason-Dixon, he'd be at my door to slap me across the face. He
doesn't have a northern passport. He can't come up here.
Well, starting in 2020,
we had to sneak him in.
Well, so given the Silverline cycle,
starting in 2023, Silverline is going to do quarterly Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Spring, summer, fall, winter.
And we're this close. We've had some hiccups, and a lot of it's my ability to create on a timely schedule. If I could, again, to our adoring fans out there, if you could just send Silverline a few $1 million, we could all just create, and we would make so many comics you wouldn't know what to do with them. It would just be a never-ending stream of amazing comics from Silverline. So
I have the Wizards tickets, so we're good.
No, I have.
Rob's going to be a billionaire. Close to a billionaire.
Yeah,
Rob's got it. Yes. So we
in our schedule
being able to create
together.
Right. I have one more question.
Yeah. Is that darn tootin' if I give away any information? I think that's what he's darn tootin' at. So,
I have one other question for you.
I
have one other question for you. What is your opinions on a Deus Ex Machina?
Good question.
Excellent question.
Wait, the game or the movie?
If I or the custom motorcycle manufacturer in Australia. I don't like it.
Nobody likes it, but do you ever find yourself having to resort to one?
I haven't yet, and I think I would avoid it at all costs.
What if you get like 5 issues in, and all of a sudden you're like,
oh, well, you're right. Hopefully we can avoid that, and that is what I feel like. In this is me. I don't know about Rory, but in my broad story world building plotting, I don't ever want to get to that point because I like to know things down the line. I do like seat of the pants, and I do like things happening organically and growing. Right. But this is me. This is just me. I need to know what's going to happen down the line because I need to foreshadow and not heavy-handed. But I don't want that. We're 10 issues in, and suddenly Magneto can move the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, or the Force can do what now?
Mm-hmm. I just happen to have a gun on my pocket.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't want
sonic screwdriver.
Right. Writing myself into a corner. I really want to
avoid that at all costs.
Now, if it comes down to it, I guess we'll
throw in time travel.
If you have to resort to it, at least try to make it make sense.
Exactly. And hopefully
I don't think we'll ever have to go into it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have seen it coming, like, oh crud. Yeah. And then it'll lay the groundwork so it's not a surprise. So it's not just
boundaries to work with. We have the boundaries of history, and I think you can get more imaginative when you're playing a game that has rules.
Well, when you have the Barb's going to get us kicked off again.
Yeah. Dang, Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina.
When writing with doing your outline, and I'm a creative person more than I'm a spreadsheets person. I don't like that, but in my plotting, I do like my 3x5 cards on a cork board. And I like seeing it, like you said, Rory. We can work within our world where it's not just flying out of control.
Yeah. For Tommy, he says, "What did Barbara ask?" Yeah. It sounded dirty. Deus Ex Machina just means God in the machine, or some sort of divine force at the last moment stepping in to save everyone. Giant eagles rescuing.
Yeah. Speaking about boundaries, was it G.K. Chesterton that talked about if you have a school and a play yard that is on top of a cliff, the kids won't go anywhere near the edge. They'll all huddle together, in the middle of the yard or by the building. But if you put a fence up that goes all the way around to the edge, they'll explore and have fun in the whole area. So that's what it's like D&D we were talking about earlier. Those rules force you to be more imaginative.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've heard of that. Idea of having knowing the boundaries and feeling comfortable
knowing
within
the rules
them
before you can bend them.
Yep. You're welcome, Tommy.
Thanks, Dad.
Is that Dean or Dad? Was he calling you Dad? I think Dad.
Thanks, Dad. There it is.
It's like you get 5 pages into a fight scene, and all of a sudden the guy happens to find a gun in his pocket.
Come on. Yeah.
What a coincidence!
Winky dink.
I forgot I was ankle carrying. Yeah.
Plus, I heard a rumor as we lead up and get a little bit closer to the countdown here. I heard a rumor that there's some original art in this particular.
Oh my God, there is so much art.
And
there is actually an original Mark Nelson piece for sale. That he did for me for Divinity.
Super nice. Nice. I think I remember drawing something for you. I don't know. I drew something, Barb. I don't know. You may want to share it.
You're gonna have to prompt me. I know you have a cover.
Yeah.
You penciled and Tommy inked.
Yeah. Did you want to show that since that's included? Some of the stretch goals, possibly. Or again, a rumor.
Possibly. Hang on.
Before we get to the actual countdown time, Scott had suggested we count down from 1,000. I think we're way
999, 998, 997.
But I think we'll start with 10 right here at 25 after the hour, and we'll go.
Are we doing the countdown? Is that what we're doing?
We're going to do the countdown.
Close, but I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peeker here.
A sneaky peek here.
So Roland is out there with his finger poised. He's been waiting for like an hour.
Oh yeah, he's poised.
Getting cramped.
He's got pink slips all in his hand.
To launch this.
We're 1 minute away.
He has a large red button.
Kickstart launch
from the countdown. And Well, it's a, let's just say it's an unprecedented bundle that
This is
we're
going to be
offering.
cool.
Very cool. I'm adding the visual to the
Ooh.
The fall frenzy.
Look at all this
Mhm.
art, dudes. Wow.
Oh my.
Insane.
Hey.
Wow.
This is all the art. Yeah, that's
Is that Patrick Stewart?
Was that Gambit?
What's that? There's all kind of special appearances in this.
This is
kids.
Cool.
That's a
Oh,
motorcycle.
That's
Lucas
Ken
got to
Hooper's
show up
cover.
here. This is
Oh, that's cool.
wow.
Oh man.
Look who it is. Roland.
A lot of art.
Are you there? It is
What?
Roland.
Hey, the
Holy-
roller.
Rolling.
Hey.
I was not going to come on here.
But we've
But
been
he
misbehaving.
is.
No.
Don't make me come on that show.
Don't
We've been
make me
spreading
come
misinformation.
on.
I will turn this show around.
I wasn't going to come on here, but I'm on here because I haven't got all the artwork added to the Kickstarter yet.
I didn't see Mark's piece. Yeah.
I am frantically adding as we speak. So
Awesome.
so yeah, I have to get Mark's piece added to it. What we may do, I'll check with you shortly, Barb. We may just add it as an announcement tomorrow or something.
That's fine with me.
That works.
But what I'm trying to do is, we had so much artwork, y'all. There were over. Can you see that that page that you had? Let me see if I can go back to it and figure it out.
So
It was-
much art.
There were
Impressive.
something like 55 pages, I think. Oh, I've lost my page.
Original
now.
art?
Hang on. I can get it.
Yeah, bring it back up, Barbie, and we will share it with the folks.
Yep, I can go
Yeah.
back.
All right.
All right.
The photo album. Yeah.
What we have here, kids, is we are going to share.
How many does it say? Right. Look, right there. Right there it is.
Yeah.
55.
55. And I'm not, I don't have the Mark Nelson piece up there. So there are at least 50, there's more than 50 pages of original artwork. So what I did, I did it like I usually do and put it on the Kickstarter, but I looked at it and I'm just scrolling forever. And I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. You can't see them. So if I make them smaller, you can't see them. I'm like, how can I do this? How can I make it so people can actually get a good look at the art without having to scroll for 3 miles on the Kickstarter page? So I ended up just today opening up. Apparently, I already had a Flickr account. I did not realize I had a Flickr account, but apparently I did. And so I uploaded a couple. Okay, these look really good here. As you can see,
Look at that.
I'm looking at it on the stream, and these look really good.
They really do.
And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that and then get them all up there. And then I'm going in, and Barb says, well, how will they know? But so Barb, it's like, you go and click on like one of the Divinity covers. Okay, right there. Hoberg, I've got most of those named. So if you click on that, it'll pull it up, I think. Can you click on one of those pictures? Yeah, see, Zach from Divinity is the name of it. Maybe you got to scroll down a little bit to see it.
It says it up here.
I can't see where you're pointing.
Or the tab. It says it in the tab.
Okay, good. Yeah. And I think if you actually go back, oh, there you go. Cool.
There you can scroll through it.
Oh, that's even better. I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah.
So I am going through, and of course I had to, they uploaded, and they just uploaded with whatever the file name was. So I'm having to go back through and rename them all to make sure that the names on the art files match the name on the Kickstarter page. So I just noticed Roberta. What's up, Roberta?
I know Roberta's here with it. Awesome.
I'm here.
So that's what I am trying to do at this moment. So I will be doing that after we launch. The Kickstarter will be live, and you can still back, and there is some of the artwork up, but I'm adding as we go. So
okay, is it
Be a late
fair?
night for you.
I came on here to explain that.
I understand, and we appreciate that. Is it fair that we start the countdown?
Give me 2 seconds, and then I'll say yes.
996.
Almost.
995.
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be awesome.
100 bottles of beer on the wall.
Okay, now you can start the countdown.
Here we go.
Right.
10,
10,
9,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3, 2,
2, and the video begins.
Hi, and welcome to our Kickstarter. This is our 21st Kickstarter. 21. That's pretty cool, isn't it? If you've been around for the others, thank you so very much for your support. You know that we like making comic books, and you know that we deliver, so thank you so very much. If you're new, let that number sink in. 21. That means we've done 20 other Kickstarters, and we've fulfilled them, shipped them, everything. We like making comics. So I'm going to shut up talking, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you about it. We've got 5 comics in our Kickstarter this time. The first one I'm going to tell you about is Trumps. This one is Trumps number 4. It's the conclusion of our mini-series. All the armies are in place. The battle's about to begin. We've got the clubs and the diamonds. They're about to go to war. And then there's spades and there's hearts. Only one of them can be Trumps. Who's it going to be? You got to read the book to find out. Now, I'm going to let Barb Kalberg tell you about Divinity. Take it away, Barb.
Hi folks, this is Barb Kalberg, creator of Divinity. As most of you know, Divinity is a young girl with amazing healing abilities, and everybody would like to get their hands on her. In this issue, she has fallen into the hands of an unscrupulous foe. Her brother Zach is on the run, trying to keep his own self alive while finding a way to rescue Vinny. Thanks for watching, and thanks for reading.
Thanks, Barb. The other one I'm going to tell you about is Switchblade. This is another conclusion to a mini-series. This one's Switchblade number 3, and it concludes our mini-series of Switchblade. Again, the pieces are all in place. Is Scott Nathan, aka Switchblade, going to have the grand finale battle with this serial killer? I think he might. But are the cops going to get in the way? Don't know. You got to back the Kickstarter and find out so that you can read it. The next one is the new book by K-list writer Brent T. Larson. This one's called Cape Town. We've got a superhero theme going on this time. Did you not figure that out? Cape Town is another one. It's in the last days of superheroes. Are the superheroes all gone? Where have they been? Where do these superheroes come from? That's a mystery to be solved. And you've got to read Cape Town number 1 to find that out. And the final book I want to tell you about is The Pendulum. It's number 1 of one of our remix series. It's about an aging superhero who is looking back on his life. And he's like, man, what can I do? I've had a superhero life, but I've got so many regrets. But I'm an old dude now. What am I going to do? You got to back the Kickstarter to find out. Back it if you can. There's 5 comics. There's all kind of tier levels. We've got all kind of add-ons that you can include. Original art. There are back issues. There are t-shirts. Back where you can. And if you can't back, we get it. We're still in a depressed economy right now. But you can share it. Share it to all of your friends who like comic books and say, hey, look, these guys deliver. So we're asking you to come along on the ride with us. And until then, remember to make mine Silverline.
We're still live. I wanted to keep us live for a moment.
That's a
Roland?
good thing you said that.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's so cool.
Roland, anything you want to add to that before we sign off with
Flip
folks?
that switch.
I you know what? I flipped the switch when y'all counted down because I thought that's what we were counting down to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So all whoever's screen is up there just needs to refresh.
Oh, that okay.
Let's see what we got going on
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And I will say that you asked if there's anything I wanted to add. Man,
Yes.
I
Bye.
already got a backer.
Look at that.
Already got a backer.
All right.
I am jonesing for that Divinity T-shirt.
Yeah, that's
Me
cool.
too. I'm
Very
got a
cool.
sale right now for me.
Yeah,
For that.
Very
So
awesome.
I'm
Buy my own
anxious for
shirt.
that. Right. So,
Well,
yeah.
We appreciate you joining us tonight, Roland, and everyone helping us out with getting the story of Steam Patriots world building out there with the Wizards of Wordplay. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
tolerating all the heckling. It was fun and informative. As always,
letting us blabber.
Questions.
It just wouldn't be Wednesday Wham without a lot of heckling. So we like to keep that tradition alive. And we also, as we like to say goodnight to everyone, we like to always use our phrase and our motto, which says, make mine
Silverline. Good night, everybody.
I'm Pat Broderick. Make mine Silverline.